What was the good and the bad? Well, the good was mostly good. It was excellent. There were a few hiccups that were, I think, deliberate, but I think people will be mixed on. One is you couldn't hear things at certain times. And Nolan has gotten this a lot, that his soundtracks, and I don't mean the music, are very uneven sometimes. The music and the sound and dialogue work really well together. Sometimes they don't. And I think this is just his roots as an indie filmmaker, that you will not hear things like dialogue or even certain sound effects. They're like, why am I not hearing certain things? That's his intention. He wants to make this like a documentary. So it may feel like mistakes, and maybe they are mistakes, but why am I not hearing things? I don't know. I'm just not hearing it. So parts of the story are literally a mystery to me, and I can't clarify them. Even the spoiler review, I'll have to double check a few things because the film does not clarify, and I think that was intentional. You're supposed to sort of feel like Oppenheimer, you're in the dark, but I think he may have pushed it to an extreme. So there will be parts of the film that are frustrating, like, well, what is this about? What's that about? He doesn't tell you. And things move fast. This is a fast film, so be prepared for that. You want to rest up because once this thing gets started, and it gets started fairly quickly, I was like, whoa, he is not messing around. There's no wasted time in this film, but it moves really, really fast. He's not going to give concessions, so if you're not going to pay attention, he's just going to flip back and forth in time. I wish he did choose moments more wisely in terms of slowing down, explaining a few more things, spending more time with certain characters. But again, this is his film, his vision. It may be frustrating at times that you wanted way more with certain characters. I'm not going to spoil with who, but you'll definitely feel from the trailer like, oh, they're not a big part of the story. I wouldn't say it's false, but they're more like cameos. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of cameos. The number of cameos here is insane. And so from the poster, it feels like, wow, we're getting... No, this is very focused on Cillian. I was surprised who got more attention and who got less, but this is very much a Cillian Murphy film / Nolan film, and their mythological interpretation of Oppenheimer. I stress mythological. This is not historical. This is not a biopic. This is very much their selective interpretation of these crises from the World War to the Cold War, looking at him as a romantic figure, as a scientific figure, historical figure. I think the man himself actually got lost. We're looking at him as a scientist and as someone who's trying to make sense of this chaos. And we do see his dark side. This is not like, oh, we're just seeing Oppenheimer the victim. We definitely see, yeah, there's a potential there that he kind of knew what was going on and let the abuse happen. But I think definitely, especially by the third hour, the message is pretty clear that Nolan is very suspicious of the government, very suspicious of authority. And it's a very Oliver Stone feeling of paranoia and hatred and anger. And I like that, but I think people will not pick up on that message. They'll kind of think, well, this is just getting very boring. It was an interesting biopic for 2 hours and then it got really boring. I think there's a method to the madness, or I hope there is, but definitely by the end of it, you'll feel like, wow, we're really stretching things. I don't think so. I think he's making this point for a reason. It may get a little repetitive at the end, but overall, a very strong film. Definitely encourage you to see it. I saw it, quote, in a normal format, not the IMAX. I was very satisfied. I don't think I need to see it in the IMAX, but if you want to spend the extra money, you will probably get a little bit more from the visual effects. I don't believe him that there's no CGI in this film, but probably this is very minimal CGI, and that's very impressive. So I would encourage people to see Oppenheimer, a really, really great film, but very, very uneven film. That's audience expectations. This is very much his film, his documentary, from a mythological standpoint, and you'll have to be satisfied with that.